Hello everybody, welcome back to Jordan Golf TV, where we are talking about all things golf. And in today's episode, I have an exciting performance review for you featuring one of the best Nike golf shoes of the entire year, the Victory Tour 4 NRG for the Open Championship. If you guys have been following the channel, you will remember that I posted my initial thoughts on this shoe a couple of weeks ago now when these launched for the Open Championship. But interestingly enough, although these did release to celebrate the championship, no one played in them during the competition, including Rory or Tommy Fleetwood or anyone. And I'm a little bit annoyed to announce that I still haven't really gotten to the bottom of why that is. But I have nonetheless played a couple of rounds in these now, and I've enjoyed playing in them so much that I wanted to bring you my thoughts. Now, the first thing to say is that if you are somewhat interested in these shoes, there are still a few sizes out there knocking about. If you go on the Nike.com website, at least here in the UK, there are some bigger sizes still sitting. If you go onto Golf Poser or Trendy Golf, you might well find a few pairs of these sitting around. But a little bit like the Masters pack or some of the other major championship series Victory Tour 4s, the demand for these is pretty high. So if you can't find your size, you might have to venture onto the resale markets. But the good news is these aren't like crazy overpriced. They were £189 retail, and they're currently available on StockX for about 240 to 250 quid. So including fees, you might have to pay maybe 70, 80 pounds over the retail price, which obviously isn't ideal. But given this color scheme, the wearability, and the performance, I actually think these are kind of worth it. So the official colorway is white, metallic gold, and sail. And these things launched alongside a pair of Air Max 90s, as well as a pair of the Infinity Tour NXTs. They're a little bit like the Justin Timberlake Victory Tour 4 Raggio di Soles in that they feature a pretty similar construction. They feature this extra leather overlay that wraps around the bottom of the shoe. They feature an extra embroidered swoosh above the big swoosh. They've also got a little heel tab on the back, and the general feeling and construction around the shoes is one that's slightly more premium compared to the regular inline Victory Tour 4. The materials are comprised of this faux ostrich leather on the upper. You've also got this metallic gold speckled treated leather around the bottom panels, and you get the sort of silver reflective swoosh on the upper. These also come with a slightly aged midsole, and they've also got some really interesting detailing around the tongue and the insole, which has a bit of a regal or a royal vibe to it, which is where the whole storytelling for this shoe comes into play. You see, the other feature about this shoe that you'll notice is that it has the word golf crossed out both on the tongue as well as on the insole. So the storytelling around this shoe is kind of cool because these were launched for the Open Championship, although no one played in them. Like I said, they sort of dial into the heritage around golf in Scotland, and the whole idea behind golf being crossed out is a reference to golf being banned in Scotland in the year 1457 by King James II. The whole reason for golf being crossed out in Scotland in the year 1457 is because Scotland were often at war with England in and around this time, and King James II was a little bit concerned that most of the men in Scotland at the time were preoccupied playing golf or football, and so he put a ban on both sports so that the men could focus on fighting as well as archery. But obviously, in classic Scots fashion, this ban was largely ignored. Let's now talk about how these things fit. The Victory Tour 4, in my experience, having played in the Rorys as well as the Justin Timberlakes, fit about a half size big, but these fit like an entire size too big. So I went down a half size because I like a little bit of extra room in the toe box, and these fit absolutely fine. My true to size is a UK 9.5. I got a UK 9, and these give me a little bit of extra room in the toe box, which I really like. So if you're thinking about picking up a pair, go at least a half size down. In terms of the general comfort, these things are solid. You've got the foam on the midsole, which offers a nice little bit of cushioning. They have an Ortholite insole as well, which offers a nice extra bit of squish factor as well. And because these feature the carbon fly plate technology, they're also really stable underfoot. And when you're swinging, they do definitely feel like you get a little bit of extra torque coming through the ball. And so in terms of the comfort, I would say these are absolutely fantastic comfort-wise. The only thing that you might want to bear in mind is that the top line here, especially around the top two lace holes, depending on how you lace your shoes, do cut in a little bit, and so you might feel a little bit of rubbing right around the top of the ankle thanks to these panels here on the top line here, the top laces. Because the ostrich material is quite stiff, it's not overly flexible, there isn't much in the way of flex on the upper. So my only problem that I found with these comfort-wise was that the top line here was cutting into the ankle. So the second time I played in these to remove that discomfort, I just didn't lace up the top bits where the top didn't close in on the ankles too much, and they felt absolutely fine. In terms of the performance, they have fantastic amounts of grip thanks to the 5 spikes in the forefoot and the 4 on the rear. Underneath that, you've also got the carbon plates, which is supposed to add a little bit more flex when you're putting pressure into the shoe on the downswing and the follow through, enabling you to get a little bit more explosivity. And so in terms of traction, in terms of grip, in terms of stability, this really is a really solid shoe. This is basically Nike's flagship golf shoe. So yeah, the performance is bang on. In terms of how they wear, I was pretty surprised at just how well these have held up under 36 holes of play. I mean, if you look at the toe box here, there's barely any creasing at all in terms of the way that they scrub up after a couple of rounds. Bro, just a little bit of soap, water, scrubbing brush, they look basically new. Obviously, because it's a lighter colored shoe, the foam midsole is going to take on a little bit of dirt and degrade pretty poorly over time. The liner, given its creamy colorway, is also going to suffer from a little bit of staining and all that type of jazz. But generally speaking, for a light colored golf shoe, if you're going to be playing in these primarily in the summertime, absolutely easy to clean up and maintain. And honestly, I think this colorway is spectacular. These look beautiful on feet. They look classy. The gold accents give them a really nice bit of pop, and it's just such an easy shoe to wear with pretty much any outfit. And so for me, this is honestly one of the nicest looking, best performing golf shoes from Nike the entire year. I would honestly put these right next to the Raggio di Sole, the Justin Timberlakes, just because they have pretty much the exact same aesthetic. They have a very similar wearable colorway about them, but they're not 460 pounds. They're like less than half of the price. So if you wanted something that kind of has the same type of vibe as the Justin Timberlakes, bro, these have got to be a super solid option. In fact, some of you guys out there might even prefer the look of the open ones to the Justin Timberlakes. The materials aren't quite as luxe, obviously, but that's what you would expect given the difference in price. Compared to some of the other premium golf shoes that we've had this year, like the ALDs, obviously it's a matter of taste, but I honestly think that these Nike Victory Tour 4s are one of Nike's best golf shoes of the entire year. And there we go, those are my thoughts. I think it's a brilliant golf shoe. I think the colorway is dope. I do like the materials. I love the way that they wear. I've played a couple of half decent rounds in them, which maybe has slightly informed my inflated opinion about them, but there we go. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about these shoes down below. Good luck on copping a pair if you fancy a pair now thanks to this review. And don't forget to drop a comment, like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take care for now, and peace out.